There he is, getting ready for the Super Bowl. Brad Bryant, Mohegan Sun, FanDuel Sportsbook, our guest once again on the Mut podcast this week. Not talking championship weekend. We gave you plenty of winners for championship weekend. We are talking about the big game, Super Bowl. What was it? Super Bowl 59 already, Bomber?
Yeah, I believe so, isn't it? Isn't that crazy?
Looking
back, looking back, I know some people that can name every Super Bowl and who won and who played, and I can't do that. All I can tell you is I remember my first money line play I ever played, and that was like the Bengals, I believe, to beat the 49ers. The second time, maybe first time.
That was a loser, I assume.
That was a loser, but didn't tight end drop a pass in the end zone or something weird happened that the Bengals had a chance? But I don't know. That's how I relate my Super Bowls. I don't know how you relate yours.
The first I remember specifically was the Giants in Super Bowl 25, the silver anniversary Super Bowl. Matt Barr's field goal to beat the Bills. And I knew I didn't like the Bills for some reason. I don't know why, because I was not the Patriots. Maybe it was the Patriots-Bills thing at that point. But I remember rooting for the Giants in that Super Bowl. And then my dad, for a couple of years, was traveling a lot, would come home with these Super Bowl. Remember those old, great vintage Super Bowl T-shirts they would make, Bomber, with like the big caricatures on them, the big logos, and the logo meant something. Had a bunch of those from like Denver Broncos and Giants. But Matt Barr kicking that field goal and beating Jim Kelly and the K-Gun offense, that's my first big Super Bowl memory I have.
I remember falling into the trap and being on the opposite side of the Cowboys during their run in the 90s, thinking that the Bills could hang with them in a couple of those Super Bowls too. So a lot of exciting times, a lot of great games, Super Bowls. Hopefully we get a good one this weekend. So
yeah, I'm excited. We'll talk about this game. We'll talk about the handicapping of this game, some prop bets. Special guests will join us here in a couple of minutes. But as we get set for the game on Sunday, I'm excited about the game, forgetting the betting. It seems to me, Bomber, there is this whole theme of, this game's not good. It's a replay of a couple of years ago. People are bored by Kansas City and Philadelphia. Where are you as a fan on this game heading into Sunday?
I think as a fan, I'm okay with it. I mean, in my mind, you probably got two, if not the two best teams. You got two of the best teams, which is always good. And from my standpoint, I like it because you got two great fan bases. You got the Eagles fan base, which they travel and they like to support their team. And we saw that in the conference championship game where we saw so many Eagles jerseys, which normally during the season we don't see that many. We always see Chiefs jerseys. So, we're excited. The time that they played before, we had a great crowd in here. Everybody was into the game. And I think that's what's going to happen again this time.
Well, we've been telling you about this great deal that our friends at Mohegan have set up here, and Brad is a big part of this. We want you to go bet on the big game at Mohegan Sun, and they have offered this unbelievable opportunity, Bomber. We were there last week. Already saw people walking up and placing their bets to qualify. It's very, very simple. If you're watching this or listening on Wednesday, all the way through kickoff on Sunday afternoon or Sunday night, 6 p.m., $25 Super Bowl bet on anything. It could be a prop bet, side, total, whatever. Qualifies you for a chance to win one of 5 autographed helmets. Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Drake May, Brian Robinson, and Travis Kelce, Bomber. It's been a week since I was in there. What's the response been to these beautiful autographed helmets you guys have there at Mohegan Sun?
It's actually been one of the best responses we've ever seen, Mud. It's to see the people come up and want to take a look at the helmets and see what we're offering. It's been something that, honestly, I'm a little shocked that it took off like this. It's, $25. You're going to bet that on the game anyway. We had some people that were in here just going to play basketball, and they saw what we were doing. They were leaving to go back home, and they said, hey, since I don't have to be present, you'll call me. Let me make a bet. So pretty cool thing. You're getting a chance to win one of 5 helmets, signed, autographed by really great players, and one hopefully soon to be Drake May, right? So we're excited about it, and we expect a busy weekend for people betting and signing up to try to win these helmets.
Yeah, we know how it goes. You're going to bet the game. You're going to watch the game at home with your big game party or go to a friend's house. Like, I get it. So go to Mohegan Sun, place your $25 bet and qualify. It's that simple. If I can figure it out, I'm a moron, Bomber. If I can walk in and figure it out in 2 seconds how to qualify for this thing, there is no excuse for our viewers, our listeners, not to get in there and have a chance to win an unbelievable autographed helmet. As you said, including Drake May. That was a sneaky good idea by you. Yep. Patriot fans left out of the big game. they get a chance to win an autographed Drake May helmet. He's a future Pro Bowler. Well, he was a Pro Bowler. He's a future All-Pro quarterback, Bomber. That's my pick.
Yeah, I mean, and we're in this neck of the woods, right? So we know that people like the Patriots, and if you happen to win this helmet, maybe you've got something that's worth a little bit of change down the road. So hopefully you come in, make a bet, and we draw your name out, and you win the Drake May helmet.
Yeah, be a great deal. Should also point out, still limited seating available for the big game party, Bomber. People want to get involved. How should they get their seating? How should they get involved to watch the game with you guys? And what's going to happen there, Mohegan Sun, on Sunday?
We got a big party planned. So since the game is actually in Louisiana and New Orleans, we're doing a little Mardi Gras themed event here. We'll have dancers. We've got DJ Chaotic. That'll be kicking off at 3:00. We're going to have a little dancers with a dancing performance. We'll have a buffet that is going to be Cajun New Orleans themed.
Nice.
You go to mohegansun.com, you go to the Sportsbook page. It's right there in the middle. It says, view the big game, and you click on it. You can reserve your seat there. We're running out of seats, so you don't want to wait too long to book your seat. We will have some extra seating if you're a walk-up, but don't wait until the last minute. And then, of course, we're going to give you a pretty nice little goodie, too. We got a little box. We're giving you a gift box that I think is pretty cool. And I don't know of any sportsbook that's ever done this. Hopefully you're okay if I do this, but here's the outside of the box, and we're going to fill that up with goodies. And you're going to have a great time.
Mohegansun.com/sportsbook. Get your seating for the game, Bomber. As far as the game goes, I've seen it. It opened 1.5. I'm seeing it now basically 1.5 and 1 across most books, 48.5 and 49 for the total. It did creep up to 50 at one point, or 50.5, but it settled down in at 49. What are the big bets you guys have taken at Mohegan here last week and a half or so?
So we've taken quite a few five-figure bets here over the last couple of weeks. So we're excited. We think it's going to really pick up this weekend. Just like the last time these two teams played, so far it's been pretty well split down the middle. I think by game time we will need the Chiefs a little bit, but I don't think it'll be anything huge. It's been a long time since I've seen a game that really had, I wouldn't say significant impact. There's so many props and things now. Usually the game is not very one lopsided. So I don't expect this one to be. I think people will play the Eagles, and the book will end up needing the Chiefs by kickoff.
So you think you've had pretty even action so far on both sides?
Absolutely.
What I'm looking at right now is the money line action has been very heavy on Philadelphia. Is that what you mean by needing Kansas City? A lot of money line bets on Philly?
Yeah, absolutely. So of course, when it's down around 1.5, and a lot of people will say, well, that's kind of a dead number. So why would you play 1.5? Why wouldn't you just take, I believe, what's even on the Eagles? Why wouldn't you just take the even? One of the things we'll talk about later, too, is if you like the Eagles or even the Chiefs, you should look at the alternative spread, too. So those get a lot of play during a game like this. So we'll see what happens come kickoff.
All right, I'm going to try to do this on the fly, and in our special guest. He is an Eagles super fan. He's my buddy Adam Rosenberg. I've known him for a long time. He's now with the great folks at Outlier.bet. There he is. What's up, Adam? How you doing, buddy?
What's going on, guys? I'm an Eagles super fan versus just regular Eagles Philadelphian. Though I'm up here in New England. Glad to be here, guys.
You're a super fan because you go to Philadelphia for baseball games. You go to big playoff games. Like you are locked into this team. I am curious. This game happened 2 years ago. You were confident in Philadelphia then. You feel better or worse about your Eagles this rematch against Kansas City a couple years later?
It's funny. I remember you and I talking, and I was pretty confident then. So this is a very, very different. I see this game going very differently, and the biggest thing is probably the defense. These are the top two defenses in the league, and a lot of the plays that I've made for bets and the ways that I've looked at this game, maybe this is just also like years of betting and just also kind of being pragmatic about it all, but I don't think it's going to be as big and explosive as everybody really wants to have as a Super Bowl. Like, we love that kind of stuff, but these are the top two defenses in the league, and it's not even close. Like, the Chiefs haven't scored more than 11 points in the second half in, I want to say, 2 months. And this Eagles team plays things pretty similar. It's a smash mouth football, but the number one reason why I like the Eagles here is because I just think that this defense is unlike any defense that we've had in quite some time.
Yeah, it's interesting, Bomber, right? I think people want to come in, they want to bet overs, they want high scoring games. Yeah, I'm sort of Adam, right? I think it's two teams that want to run the ball, and it does feel like two competitive teams, two defensive teams might have a lower scoring game than we've had in recent Super Bowls.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm with you on that. And I think, the Chiefs, I think, have to control Barkley, correct? So if they control Barkley, I think it definitely leans toward the under. But, I like a baseball game. I like to see 1-0. I'd like to see a defensive battle too. So not a big fan of the 48-41 shootouts. I don't like that.
So you said defensively, Adam, sort of the key for that defense. So what has to go right? Like, as you play this game out, we'll get some of your prop bets here in a second. Like, how do you envision it playing out for the Eagles to win? That we'll get to what you fear most about this Kansas City matchup.
So for the Eagles to win, they have to win in the middle of the field. I'm less concerned. I mean, their cornerbacks are actually the best cornerbacks in the league, despite being rookies. And they have to continue to play at that ability, but it's very important for the middle of the field for the Eagles to control that and not leave open space for guys like Kelsey, for Gray, argue Hopkins, some of these guys. What the Chiefs love to do is they love to do short slant passes. And with Zach Braun in the middle as linebacker, obviously they lost Nakobe Dean in that first playoff game, which was a big deal. They kind of like to play their edges as a little bit more fluid, where they're backing up as a linebacker and they're also kind of going in and chasing the quarterback. But if they give up a lot of yards in the middle of the field, Mahomes is too good. He's going to be way too precision, and he's going to just rip them apart. And what's going to happen is they're going to end up giving up these 80-play drives that are going to have 80-yard drives that are going to have 13 or 14 plays that defense is going to end up being on the field for a long time. And that's ultimately going to be something that the Eagles don't want, because then you're going to have tired tacklers, and tired tacklers make for losses.
When you're looking at this game, Bomber, like he's talking about game with a lot of possessions, time possession, lower scoring game. You've talked about live betting quite a bit. What will you be looking for in terms of live betting this game? Be able to do it Mohegan Sun. We can all do it on the apps or watching at home. Like I think that has added a whole element to watching a game like this. What do you be looking for? What are opportunities you see in live betting this game on Sunday?
I think, as always, you'd be looking for, visually what you see. You remember, I always talk about the algorithm, right? The algorithm doesn't see what's actually happening on the field. It's just taking all this other stuff into account. I think you visually need to see, and what Adam is talking about, you need to see is do you think the Eagles are doing that, or do you think they're not going to be able to do that? So I think that's always in the first half. That's always something I look for. The thing with the Chiefs that I always look out for too, they always make adjustments at halftime. Consistently. I know that everybody always says coaches make adjustments at halftime. The Chiefs always make adjustments at halftime. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. So definitely would be looking for what the line is at halftime going in.
Yeah, I have a significant coaching edge for Kansas City side, Adam. I'm going to ask you to take your Eagles, helmet off for a second. How would you match it? Like, how much of a mismatch do you think Reed and Spags are against Sirianni and Vic Fangio on the Philadelphia side?
I mean, look, we all know the data. Andy Reid with time to prep. He had to leave the Eagles to become better at everything that he does. So look, Spags is, in my opinion, the best in the game. Fangio, though, was the difference in this Eagles team now versus last year versus the year before. I've seen the stats also of Mahomes versus Fangio is 9-0 or 8-0. The thing is that Mahomes only has 26 career losses, period, like full stop. So he's above 500 against everyone. There's nobody that he doesn't do well against. So I don't really put as much. I don't put a lot of stock into that. I do agree that Andy Reid and Spags are elite at the changes at halftime, but I can't forget about the game 2 years ago with arguably a worse Eagles team, surely worse coached on the coordinator side. I believe Matt Patricia was consulting for the team around this time. And at halftime, they were down and they made adjustments and they shut out the Chiefs in the second half and they won that game in Arrowhead. So, as much as we're going to say that, yes, Andy Reid has that, I think that it's a little bit closer than it was a couple years ago. And just the talent level on this defense for the Eagles is something that I haven't seen, I don't know, since the 90s, to be totally honest. It's a very, very, very good team. And, there are holes on this Chiefs team that you can continue to exploit. They were getting gashed by James Cook on the wings just consistently in that last game. I mean, like the Bills could have probably done stuff to the Chiefs, and no surprise to me, but former Eagles assistant coach Sean McDermott couldn't coach a good game. One of the worst play called games that I've seen. So while I do think that halftime is going to be pretty critical for this, I think that's I'll probably be looking to do a second half under based on what the odds are. One of the things I look for at halftime is if I'm seeing a spread on one of the teams being more than 3, and then I kind of use that to compare to what the line is for the total for the second half. And so if it's a bigger spread, 3.5 or more, that's indicating that they would need a touchdown or more basically in the second half. Because 4 and on, like, Bomber, you had alluded to it, dead numbers kind of, but they all need the same type of score for it to happen. If you see a 4 or higher for the second half spread for one of the teams, and then you're seeing a total of around probably 22 or whatever, that's actually indicating to me an over. But what I'm probably anticipating the second half lines on this are going to be whichever team is losing -1.5. And I'm anticipating it'll probably be about 21.5, 22.5. And I'll want to take that second half under.
I will point out Chiefs unders last 38 games, 27-11 second half to the under. Like
it's one of my favorite bets.
They sit on the ball for whatever reason, even with Mahomes guys, they want to just pound the ball and shoot clock in the second half. So I like the total under in the entire game, but I'm with you. A competitive game at halftime, I'm not going to be betting on a shootout in the second half. I'll be betting on the under. How about biggest fear for you in this game? Because what I'm hanging my hat on, I mentioned the coaching, is also Mahomes. Close game, 2 good teams on paper. Eagles probably more talented, but Mahomes is the best quarterback on the planet, getting less than a field goal in a close game in the fourth quarter. That's who I would want. When this thing plays out on Sunday, like biggest fear as an Eagles fan, is it that close game in the fourth quarter, Mahomes of the football?
It's similar. It's the Eagles with the lead and not stepping on their throats. The key play in the last Super Bowl where the Eagles lost the game was midway through the third quarter, and they effectively threw to Kenny Gainwell under the sticks. And so for those listening and watching, that basically means less than what the first down was going to be. They were playing for field position, not to cut their throat. They played for a field goal, and they got a field goal out of that possession. But if you're up by that much, like, you got to be going for it, and just you can't take your foot off the gas. To me, the game was over when that happened. Even though they had a 10-point lead, it was over because of that killer instinct being lost in that moment. My biggest fear is them either being in the lead and taking their foot off the gas, or allowing Mahomes to have the ball last in the game. I truly do think that Sirianni is going to build a game plan around Mahomes does not have the ball at the end of the game. I think that, to the point about the unders, a lot of my plays are kind of revolving around a lower scoring game. Like, this Chiefs team's only scored 30 points 3 times this season. One of those times was last week. One of those times was in overtime. And another time was was a letdown spot against the Panthers that the game almost got away from them, and they scored on a winning field goal.
All right, so obviously you got some Philadelphia ties. You're leaning Philadelphia, but you post a lot of props, man. We follow on Twitter. Hey Rosenberg, we text back and forth. Like, Bomber, when you see a guy walk to the window on Super Bowl Sunday with a list, because he's going to have a list. He has a list of props he bet. Is that a good thing or a bad thing for you as someone who runs a sports book, when the guy comes with the big notebook and he says, he starts laying off prop bets kickoff before the game?
That's a good thing, right? I want him to bet as many as he can. I would rather book somebody that, not just Adam, but anybody that's going to play a list of them. I'd much rather book that than somebody who just wants to come in and bet like 5,000 on one prop. I'd much rather book it this way. So, there's tons of props. There's going to be lots of opportunities out there, but, definitely would love to be able to book people that want to come in with a ton of props.
Adam, you got a whole list. I won't ask you down the entire thing. This is something you worked on since like last Sunday at kickoff. But I want to start with one that I know you've talked about, and that is on FanDuel, which is Bombers book their Mohegan Sun. It's the jersey touchdown bet. Can you explain this? And I'm going to try to pull it up on my end here. You like a bet for a jersey number touchdown in this game, courtesy of FanDuel.
Yeah, so this is under 15.5 being the first touchdown. And what this does, there's a lot of reasons I like this bet. From a math perspective, this covers 9 of the top of the 13 shortest first TD bets. So you basically, from just a general, what am I kind of blanketing and covering myself on? 75% of all the bets that are available in there. It covers you on effectively everybody except for the tight ends and Saquon and Kareem Hunt. But you get in this, you're getting Hurts. You actually get Gainwell if he plays because his number's under there. You get AJ Brown. You'll have Devonta Smith in there. Mahomes is covered in this. Actually, Pacheco is covered in this. Hollywood Brown is, Hopkins, all the wide receivers that are in there. The over 15 is obviously like the big ones are going to be Saquon, Goddard, and Hunt and Kelsey. But I just really like the value on it's. I know it. Like the thing is, my friends from Philly have all said, "Oh, this is such a boring bet. Don't you want to have like a 30-1 or something like that?" My biggest learning from betting Super Bowl for years has been to not bet what I want to see. Create as much of create a high floor. I very vividly remember when I was learning betting, and the worst Super Bowl I ever bet was the Patriots Rams Super Bowl, which we all remember because
17-10.
Yeah, really unwatchable. And I had, everything was an over for me. And my bank account was over after that game. And so it was, I just have kind of learned that, a lot of times what I kind of want is to create a base floor, something like this that covers a whole bunch of stuff. I actually thread the needle a little bit, and I'm pairing this with a first TD being rush because it covers, again, 3 of the top 4 shortest odds, and using that to basically allow me to have some fun with some of the longer shots and do things from there. But the jersey props probably one of my favorite ones.
What are some of the props that you're looking at here? If people are texting you and bothering you saying your favorite props, even if they're boring, people just want winners on the show, Bomber. We take winners at any price. So before you get to some longer shots, some of your favorite props, things that you're going to give out to people and talk about before Sunday's kickoff.
I love neither team to get to 30 points. Love it. So again, I'd mentioned this, but the Chiefs have only gotten to 30 points 3 times this year. And, these are both the top 2 defenses. Eagles have gone under this in 13 of 20 games. And if you look at the teams that they're scoring even more than 25 points on, I would argue they're not real teams. They're all the NFC East teams. Commanders, I think Commanders can play, but they dropped points on them. They dropped points on the Steelers, who were questionable at best most of the season. They dropped points on this Rams team that played above its weight, and they dropped points on the Packers in Brazil. So generally speaking, neither of these teams actually, I think, are kind of those high octane off. They have ceilings to do that. But I really like it. I found it between -120 and even money at some places. I like that. And then I did a little bit of a sprinkle on neither team to 25 points too, because the stats still kind of back it up. My score prediction for this game is a 23-17 type of game, or even 17-10. I don't think that this is going to be a high scoring game, but that's probably one of my favorite bets. Is as not sexy as it is the neither team to 30 points.
Yeah, and I will just say, the numbers to me back that up. Team time possession, number 1 and number 3 in the NFL this year. Drives for possession, number 1 and number 2 this year. These are 2 teams, Bomber, that possess the ball for a long period of time. If you believe that possession is going to be big, Bomber, and you believe the defenses are pretty good, I do, then it would lean towards unders in a game where people are going to want to bet some overs.
Yeah, it definitely leans to under. And I like what Adam does too, is you're taking you like the under. So find props that fit what you think the game's going to be. So I like that angle. I also like the angle of, if you play against a player, find somebody that you think that they're not going to have a good game, and try to bet against that player to go under in his props as well. So I really like both of those angles.
Yeah, something that I've thought about and I haven't placed yet, because I thought the number would go up as we get towards kickoff and the public money comes in on the over, was the unders on Saquon Barkley. So I think Spags will be ready to defend him and try to take him out of the game. I haven't played it yet. If the number goes up enough, I could certainly see myself playing it between now and kickoff on Sunday. Anything else, any individual stuff, any long shot stuff you like, Adam, some wacky stuff for Sunday? I was texting with yesterday. I felt overwhelmed because every book is now going above and beyond, and just it's pages and pages of props. So I've tried to take a step back on this Wednesday to try to see what I have already and what I can place. So I'm curious what else you really like heading into kickoff on Sunday.
Yeah, you remember when you could only bet this stuff on Super Bowl, and now you can do it every week. So one of them that I like, a long shot that I like, is Eagles to attempt a 2-point conversion. I know you and I had gone back and forth that a popular bet for the Super Bowl, I don't know why it's only for the Super Bowl, but it should be every week, but is the octopus. And the octopus is when you score a touchdown and then that same player scores a 2-point conversion as well.
Yep.
Chiefs don't actually go for 2 a lot. They're actually very bad in short yardage situations, but the Eagles, they get a penalty on a touchdown, they're going to go for 2 every single time. They're the highest 2-point conversion team in the league. So for them to just attempt it, I saw at over 2-1. For them to have a successful one with 6-1, you can go on FanDuel, and they have the 2 guys who are going to probably get this are either Hurts or Barkley. I like either of them individually for an octopus. They're both, I believe, 20-1. And you and I had gone back and forth on is this value or not? Yeah, after looking through it, I think why pay the premium for both teams to do it when it's highly likely that only these 2 players are really going to be the ones involved? I like that one a lot.
Yeah, the octopus bet is something that Chris Diamond, your guy there, Bomber, gave out as his diamond in the rough play. Jalen Hurts was 27-1 last week at this time for the octopus, been bet down to 20-1. Mahomes is like 250-1. And I will have a little sprinkle on Mahomes as well, but I think Hurts and Mahomes, the 2 guys I want to play for the octopus. No Gatorade plays for you, Rosenberg, in the Super Bowl?
No, I didn't do. I mean, I never know how to cap that because it's such a dart. But no, nothing. The other one I have is this wacky. I have a total number of plays in shotgun formation over 95.5. That's just off the reservation degeneracy. Look, Hurts takes 100% of his snaps in shotgun, and we've seen Mahomes. We've seen him do the thing where he does this and he looks around. He's doing it in shotgun probably 92% of the time. That's a weird, fun one that I have. The other one, I think generally it's a lot of my stuff is, I'll be the guy at the party that is kind of like, when something doesn't happen, that's great for me. It's finally probably the most responsible Super Bowl that I've ever bet. So we'll see how things go.
That's a good thing. Bet with your head not over it. There's a lot to go. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't have a whole list and at the end hit like 6 of your 40 that you have and feel like, oh, I should have done.
Exactly. I want to be able to say, hey, here are my favorite bets. Like if someone asks me, I'll be like, yeah, it's this, and this. I want enough that I have stuff going on, but not so much that I just don't even know what I have bet.
Hand up. That's what I'm battling. He's Adam Rosenberg, outlier.bet. He's got a lot of stuff going on at Hey Rosenberg on Twitter. He's got a lot of shows coming up. Adam, thanks, buddy. So 23-17 Eagles. Is that your final score?
23-17 Eagles is my final score. Yeah.
All right. Good. I'm rooting against it, but good luck on Sunday, buddy.
See you guys later.
Here you go, Adam. There you go, Adam. Just for you.
All right. I love it.
Jalen Hurts.
There you go, man.
Thanks, Adam.
Stay
Adam
tuned.
Rosenberg.
Stay tuned. I'm going to give you my Lee Corso winner at the end of the show.
Oh,
I'm going to put one of these comments on for you.
Sounds good. Talk soon, guys.
Thanks, Adam. We'll see you later, buddy. That is Adam Rosenberg joining us here. He can, let's see if I can drop him. Let's remove him off the stage. There we go. We talked so much about
I'm impressed.
With what? Impressed with him?
I mean, look at you. Your technical skills and,
not really.
Dialing people in, dropping people off, merging them on a 3-way call. Look, just impressive.
It's very, very, very easy. We'll get you to figure this out here in the next couple of months so you can start hosting this stuff. Because we talked so much about prop bets, Bomber, I saw that VSiN had this poll question this morning. And I know you spent a lot of time, you and Diamond, watching VSiN there. 40% of the people who voted on this poll said they were focusing their action on just the prop bets for the Super Bowl, right? Not the side, not the total, not all the above. They want to focus on props. You were at Planet Hollywood when the props really started getting going. Do you remember when this cut kicked in? Like, I feel like now there's so much more content on props in the games themselves. And as someone who was making book in Vegas during these props really taking off, like, what is your view of it? And how do you advise people handle props for a big game like this?
I know when I was at Planet Hollywood, we tried to do as much as possible. So we definitely didn't compete with the Hilton, the Superbook, and a couple other places. We weren't at their level. But I would say we were pretty close to what we put up. Back then, though, it was more or less I would say the guys that are gambling every day, they were into the props. The public hadn't gotten into the props. Yeah. Not sure when that changed, probably with legalization around the country. I think that's when that probably changed. And I think what happens now is more people pay attention to the props, because if you're somebody that only plays once or twice a year, it's hard for you to play 105 or 110 to win $100 on the Chiefs. We hear it all the time. Oh, you mean that's all I win? So with props, at least, and I've got a couple today that I'm going to throw out there for you, that at least you can bet 25, 50 bucks, enter to win the helmet, and now you've got a 30 or 40 to 1 shot. So I think that's the second row of props, is people are getting into it because there's an opportunity to win a lot more money.
Yeah, and I would just advise, like, again, of course, people are going to bet on this game. You don't have to go crazy on it. Like, you're going to watch the game anyway. It's the last football game we're going to have for 7 months in the NFL. Do not put yourself in a spot where it's a great game, but you look down at the end and go, gee, I only hit 3 of my a million prop bets. Like, pick some that you like, correlate them with the outcome that you want, or just take pizza money, coffee money, and bet some long shot stuff. Like, I think there's a lot out there, and there's this pressure to like nail all this stuff. And people should not feel that way. They should be able to enjoy the game and not worry about hitting 85% of their props to cash out for the day. That's just how I look at it.
Well, there's two things. One, and you bring up a great point. What is it, 56% or whatever to break even in order to make money, however it works out. What if you don't play all the time, and then you go and you make 20 plays and you have a horrible day? Now you're stuck and you're not going to play again until next year. That 56, 57%, whatever the number is to break even, that's over a long-term period. So just to jump in one day and play 15 or 20 props, and then you happen to go 5 and 15, well, you never have a chance to get it to come back to the middle to get your money back. That's the first thing that you don't want to do. And the second thing that I want to tell people is don't step this up because it's your last game of the season either. Like, if you're a $200 player, don't bet 2,000. Don't bet 1,000. If you're winner for the year, 5,000. Don't put all your money on this game just because you're winner. And on the reverse, if you're stuck for the year, don't chase. It's another game. But Mutt, this from horse racing, the hardest races to handicap are the Kentucky Derby, are the better races. This is the best game of the year, supposedly. The best game of the year. Not the time to be going in and putting all your chips in the middle of the pot and hoping that you get lucky and you win on the end. Enjoy the game, have some cocktails, move on to next year.
Yeah, and I'll just say, if people are following sports betting on social media, there's this push now to make these huge bets, and people promote it like some of this stuff you have to take with a grain of salt. A lot of it is for entertainment and production, so don't take all that and be like, oh, these guys are all betting this much money. You don't have to do that. And I think I'm going to quote your dad to you. What is I'll let you do it, actually. What did your dad used to say about the races?
They're going to run again tomorrow. They're going to run again tomorrow. They're going to play a game tomorrow. May not be football, but they're going to play a game tomorrow. And unless the world comes to an end, there's going to be an NFL season next year too. So you take the time to handicap and you go through and you figure out what's going on in the off season, but don't go crazy at the end of the year and blow your entire bankroll, because trust me, been there, done that. I'm talking from experience, both of us, right? So you think you're miserable losing today and they're going to play next week? Think how miserable you are for 6 months when there is no football. So it's just not worth it. Enjoy the game. That's all I can tell you. Enjoy the game. Try to find you some spots to play. Be smart. And, if that's one game, one prop you want to bet, that's fine. If that's 15 props you want to bet at a lesser denomination, that's fine too. But just be smart about what you do.
All right, let's pick this game in a second. I have to remind people that if you are betting the game, go bet it with the great folks at Mohegan Sun. A $25 bet on the game, prop side total. Anything on the big game qualifies you for one of 5 autographed helmets. Jalen Hurts and Travis Kelce are both in the game. Drake May, future superstar quarterback of the Patriots. Brian Robinson Jr. of the Commanders. And who's the 5th one I can't think of right now? Josh Allen. Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills.
How soon we forget about Josh Allen?
I know, right? I love Josh Allen. I think he's actually probably more talented than Mahomes. Mahomes is the better quarterback overall because of the clutch stuff, but just the talent of Josh Allen. That's a different show, though. 5 autographed helmets, all up for grabs, courtesy of Mohegan Sun and Brad and his entire staff there in his sports book. All you have to do to qualify, make a $25 bet. And Bomber, I assume that goes through 6 p.m. on Sunday afternoon for
right up till kickoff. So whenever they finally kick it off, we'll cut it off at that time. Two things I want to mention with this promotion, which I think is the coolest part about it, real quick, is one, it's if you bet 1,000, you're still only going to get one entry. So you're not battling. If you're only going to bet 25, you're not battling people that bet 5,000. So everybody gets one entry. And the second thing is I know everybody can't make it here for Super Bowl day and be here for the party, so you don't have to be present. So I think, one of my big things, I want to make it fair for everyone, and I think this does that. And as we pull these names out, or as they're drawn, we will call in that order. So if I call Mutt and he wants Drake May and it's available, he gets Drake May. So
good.
Love that.
I did place my qualifying bet last week. You should too. Between now, go in and tell Bomber how great he is. Go tell people how great that my hair looks recently. People on social media seem to really like my hair last week, Bomber. So go in and see Bomber, place your bet, and qualify. A tremendous, tremendous opportunity for you between now and the big game. Speaking of the folks that I work with and I follow at Sharp Hunter, keep track of sharp money on this game and all the games. They have been tracking really since last week, sharp money on Kansas City. The line has stayed basically at 1.5. In fact, it's at one place this morning, Bomber, Wednesday morning. It's down to 1. Chiefs 1. So this thing it's sort of gone the other way from what I thought it was going to go. But the sharp money, courtesy of Sharp Hunter, has been on Kansas City since last week. Before we get to some props, let's talk about the side and the total. What do you lean towards in this game? We'll call it 1.5 and 49 right now, courtesy of FanDuel.
Yeah, so I don't think either way, as we talked before we went on air today, is not a big game for me either way. I do lean Chiefs. I just think that in my mind they're the team that's not necessarily the better team. I don't think they're going to beat themselves. I could see the Eagles beating themselves. I could see Hurts having a bad game. Definitely disagree with previous guests that the coaching edge is not as big as we think it is. I think the coaching edge is pretty big, not pregame. I think in game. That's where I just think Reed and Spags, they're second to none with the adjustments that they make not only at halftime but during the game. So I definitely lean Chiefs. I think there's something with the Chiefs wanting to be a three-peat. I think they want to do that. This is not confirmed, so don't go out there and quote me on this. I think this may be it for Kelsey too. I don't know how much longer he plays.
Wow.
So, wouldn't be shocked if they win and he walks away, depending on what Taylor tells him to do, right? So I think that's part of it. I do agree though that I do think the game leans under. Kansas City, once they get a lead, they don't have to, they're not looking to blow you out. They just want to, I think they have the clock worked out in their head. I think they know if they can run X amount of plays, that they could run the clock out. So I definitely think to lean to under. So I would say Kansas City and under if you made me pick today.
Yeah, unfortunately, maybe it's actually good for us because we actually agree on this. We agreed actually a couple weeks ago. We did pretty well here on the Championship podcast. Gave out plenty of winners, sides and totals and props in that one. I keep coming back to it's a chance to bet Mahomes on the money line at minus 120 or, laying less than a field goal at minus 110. And he's the baddest quarterback on the planet. Him with the ball in the fourth quarter. There's no one I'd rather see with the football. He's 28-9-1 against the spread as an underdog in his career, or as a favorite of less than 3, 9-2 in the postseason, 14-1 in the regular season in a dome, 16-1 overall. There is so much set up for him. He's 30-4 straight up when he has 8 or more days of rest. We talk about Andy Reid's rest, but Mahomes and Reid together, 30-4 in 34 games since 2019 with 8 or more days rest like he has in this game. No weather issues to deal with. Full complement of receivers. Spags on the defensive side. Probably a closer game, and I do lean under. But Philadelphia's more talented. But I've seen Kansas City Bomber do this in so many different ways. They've had a quote-unquote down year, and yet they're in the Super Bowl again. And I can see them having a lead and holding on. I can see them coming back. Philadelphia is, to me, their lone path to winning is getting that lead and being able to run the ball the entire game. And they have had the fewest plays in the NFL this year, Bomber, when they have trailed. They have led really wire to wire. And again, I'll make a terrible horse racing analogy you'll probably mock me for. But you've seen horses before, betting the horses in your career, that when they get things their own way, they can't be beat. A little bit of adversity and they fold up. And I'm not saying they're going to fold up, but I do think Kansas City has more ways to win. If they're stopped early running the football, I'm with you. I have some bets here that tie into Jalen Hurts having a bad game. And so a lot of people are doing it. I totally get it. There's some Patriot fans that are rooting against it because they don't want Mahomes to be compared to Brady. To me, that is dumb. He's not close to Brady yet. I don't care if he wins this or not. I want a competitive game. And in the end, I want to bet the best quarterback on the planet at minus 120. Or if I want to lay the 1.5, which I probably wouldn't do, I'm playing money line in this game, Bomber. I gave out Mahomes MVP 2 weeks ago, so I'm already invested that way at 2 plus 210 in the Chiefs. I would just play the money line in this game. I would not worry about the 1.5. Chiefs money line and the under. You and I agree on this game. And it's just tough at the end of it to not, for me, not bet on Mahomes after seeing Brady at the highest level do this for so many years. Same thing with Mahomes, best guy on the planet, short money. I'm betting Mahomes. That's it.
Yeah, I'm with you. And two things to mention. One, Kansas City's already been there, the last couple of years. I think all the, all that show that goes on, they're not buying in and all that. I think they're serious. I think the second thing is you mentioned how they play no matter what. I think that's the coaching. Like no matter what happens in a game or on a play or on a series, Kansas City has a plan. There's not a team in the league can do that. And the last thing I'll mention too, you talk about the best quarterback in the league. Look at the playoff games. If you go back and look at the playoff games and you just say, hey, that's the best quarterback, that team won almost every game, if not every game. So I think the best quarterback in this one is Mahomes. So I'll take Mahomes, and I'm only having to lay 1.5. I mean, that's best quarterback on the planet. I'm only having to lay 1.5. And I like what you say. The adversity is. I think the Chiefs handle it. I don't know if the Eagles will.
All right, so we're on the same side here, Chiefs and the under in this game. How about some props, Bomber? I'll let you go first. I'll give you some of my props. So anything getting bet, and what props have you looked at here for this game on Sunday?
Yeah, so definitely anytime touchdown. The value is not there, but people are still just pounding the anytime touchdown. I think Saquon Barkley's up to $1.90, which is just crazy. How can you? I mean, I don't know if before these props ever came out like this, did you ever see where you had to lay minus to get somebody to score a touchdown? It's unheard of.
Nope.
So just want to caution people to, if you're going to play an anytime touchdown, I know that's a fun bet to make. There's not a lot of value there anymore. So you might want to look at the bottom of the page versus the top. That'd be my first one. I have one, and we were talking about, he mentioned it earlier about Mahomes. He usually scores at least one touchdown, or very, very positive to score one touchdown. You can get 47-1 for him to score two. I could see them getting up. I could see them playing from behind, Reed or somebody calling a funny play, and he happens to score two touchdowns. So I'm going to take a shot at 47-1 because I think that's something that actually could happen. And then the other one is going to be one I found, and it's more of a play against play. There's a triple crown, most passing yards, receiving yards, and rushing yards. If you like the Chiefs or you don't like the Eagles, take a stand against the Eagles. So come in there with, you can get Mahomes, you can mix and match, which you can get Dallas Goedert. Then you can come back with Kareem Hunt. But there's some very juicy prices on there, especially if you leave out Saquon Barkley. A lot of juicy odds if you leave him out. And I do think for the Chiefs to win, they're going to have to control his running. And if they do that, it's going to be tough for the Eagles. So those would be my two props that I definitely would look at because I think there's value in both. And as anybody that's listened to us on any show we've ever done, if you can parlay the props, take a shot, parlay the props if wherever you play, if it allows you. Parlay the props, but verify your payouts. Make sure they're not considering it correlated and you're getting less payout. So that's
to echo something you said, Brad, like obviously you work at Mohegan Sun. It's a FanDuel property. You have constantly said on this show and other shows, shop for the best price. You can also shop for the parlay, the prop parlays. A lot of these books, to be fair, they're pretty smart and they don't allow you to put certain things together because they're too correlated and they don't block it. But if you can find somewhere where you can get things that you like to happen together, I'm with you, Bomber. For a small amount of money, you can put yourself in a really good position. But you would note that not all books allow certain things to be parlayed together like that.
Absolutely. Every book's different. Some, I remember when nobody allowed you to parlay props. I will actually say, and no way I can prove this, but I would almost bet you that I'm the first book ever that would allow you to parlay props. I know when I was at Planet Hollywood, we would allow, if we used to say if the system would allow it, we would allow it. And we did it. I just always felt like if I could get you to parlay them, that was better for me. So
I'll give you a couple. You can grade them out. Tell me what you think. Xavier Worthy, Chiefs' #1 receiver. His rushing total prop was 3.5 last week or 2 weeks ago. I bet the over. That hit. It was 5.5 to start the week. Now it's 6.5. I still like the over. 20 straight playoff games, Bomber. Andy Reid has given a non-quarterback or running back a rushing attempt. Worthy is their guy. He's really emerged here in the playoffs. I'm going to bet over 6.5 rushing yards for Xavier Worthy. And you mentioned Jalen Hurts. Like in my mind, he's going to throw the football more than he's really thrown all year long. His prop on FanDuel to throw an interception was like plus 140 for one pick. And I bet that. I also bet it for a small amount of money to throw 2 picks because you said bad game. And there's, in my mind, the way I see this game playing out is frustrated Eagles team, not able to run the ball. Hurts has to throw more against a very good Chiefs secondary. He's almost 8-1 to throw 2 picks in this game. So is it likely to happen? No. But if it plays out the way that I think it's going to, where they're frustrated to throw the ball more, they're trailing, he will throw the ball more than ever. And that interception percentage all of a sudden goes up. And so I thought for Hurts to have a bad game, well, what does that mean? 2 or more picks plus 8 or really 8-1. Your thoughts on those two? I guess my 2 favorite props heading into the weekend.
I like them both. I like Worthy because I really like the way that they've used him more in the playoffs, especially
he's electric. He's electric.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. So I would be shocked if they come out and they're not using him like they did last time. So I definitely like that one. And the other one with Hurts, I really like because really he could throw one during the game. And if it plays out the way that you're thinking, he could be doing a Hail Mary at the end of the game, which could be another interception. You could get a cheapie at the end if you need it. You may not even need it. But I do definitely think that if they're playing from behind, which I'm with you, I think they will be, very, very realistic that he could definitely throw 2 interceptions, if not more.
Yeah, some longer price stuff just for fun. Non-quarterback for a passing touchdown. It was 21 yesterday at FanDuel and bet down to 17-1. We mentioned the dive in the rough play that I played last week. Jalen Hurts for an octopus still get 20-1 right now. Mahomes is 250-1 to get an octopus. And you mentioned he runs more in the playoffs, Bomber. That is absolutely true. The numbers back that up. He has 20 rushing attempts in 2 playoff games. His rushing attempts go up almost 2 or 3 per game in the playoffs with the regular season. He ran a ton against Buffalo around the goal line. So I could see that as well. And look, I think the Chiefs are going to win. But if the Eagles do win, I think it's a potential for a defensive player to be the impact. And I thought Jalen Carter at 75-1 to win the MVP. Just a small little fun bet in case that I'm dead wrong and it ends up being a closer game that the Philadelphia Eagles win. 2.5, 3 sacks, Jalen Carter up front against really kind of a suspect Kansas City offensive line. That's my biggest concern, as if Kansas City backer on Sunday, their offensive line is not very good. And that's the biggest advantage Philadelphia has. So I can see Jalen Carter, even Nolan Smith, having big games defensively in this spot. So you feel like you'll get to Sunday, Bomber, as you're in the book, the party's going, the band is playing, the DJ's rocking, people are winning money. Feel like you'll need Kansas City to win in this spot on Sunday?
I think so. I'll be shocked if we don't. I know the last time they played, we definitely needed we had futures pending, so we definitely needed the Chiefs. But Chiefs crowd, they usually come. They like to watch. They don't bet as much. They're here to watch it. Eagles fans, they're coming, they're betting, they're drinking, they're doing the whole thing. So I definitely think that we'll need Chiefs. But like I said, I don't think it'll be any of the Patriots, Giants fiasco from 2007 or 8 that I went through at Planet Hollywood.
Yeah, that was bad for you at Planet Hollywood, right? That game?
Worst game ever. Couldn't stop them. I mean, it didn't matter what I hung up there. Everybody came in like I screamed out one time, "Is anybody want to bet the Patriots? Because we can get you in this line over here." And it was like people as far as you could see. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Well, people are going to be betting at Mohegan Sun Sportsbook, mohegansun.com/sportsbook. There is limited seating available for the big game on Sunday. Where's that prize box? Show that to the people again watching.
Show that prize. Look at this beauty.
You're not going to. What are you going to put in it? What's going in the box?
So we've got a commemorative Super Bowl glass that we're putting in for it. We've got a Mohegan Sun FanDuel Sportsbook bag that we got. We got I believe there's a scarf. I call them toboggans. I guess up here on the East Coast, you guys call them beanies. I call them toboggans. We've got a T-shirt that's going in it. So just a lot of things.
Mohegansun.com/sportsbook. That is for the big game. Some other stuff coming up. March Madness, NCAA tournament. Oh, here we go. Lee Corso's putting the Chiefs helmet on. He's going. It's not going to fit on your head. Your melon's huge. That's not going to fit on your head. He likes the Chiefs. If people want to sign up March Madness, you got some cool stuff coming up for the Derby. It's a wonderful helmet. It's a Super Bowl helmet, by the way, autographed by Travis Kelce.
Yep.
Mohegansun.com/sportsbook. NCAA tournament, Derby stuff as well going on.
Yeah, so March Madness filling up fast, getting probably 10 calls a day for that. So you would definitely want to come for that. First 3 days, biggest days, compared to Super Bowl, probably bigger now. I think more excitement now around March Madness with the way that it goes. So that very excited. And then, the Derby, we're rolling out a promotion that's going to start on the February 22nd. We're breaking news here. We'll do a little breaking news to end the show.
Sure.
We're going to be raffling off or drawing tickets for a commemorative 150th bottle of Woodford Reserve Derby Baccarat luxury bottle. Retail value $15,000. So starting February 22nd, if you come in on Saturdays and you play, we designated tracks. If you play those tracks and those Derby prep races, every $50 you bet, you'll earn one drawing ticket. And then we're going to have a drawing in the middle of April, and you get to come back for a post-position draw, the Derby party. So big brouhaha. Be on the lookout for all that information. But we're excited about Derby, March Madness, and then we get a few months off to rest and then start right back over.
I cannot wait, Bomber. I can't thank you enough for your insight. You can't get this anywhere else where a sportsbook manager comes on here. Just gives you all the stuff his side of the counter. Also cares about the player, what you've done for our listeners, our viewers, Sportsbook Live, years in Boston, like you've taken care of our guys. So I cannot thank you enough, and excited for people to come in and bet the next couple of days and qualify to win. Now, I am qualified for the Drake May. So if my name comes up, don't even call. Just put the Drake May helmet aside. The kids have already told me, Dad, if you win, we want the Drake May helmet. Sorry.
Well, I mean, like I told you, I bought the other four and they gave me that one for free. So you can have that one. Well, they offered a Browns one. They offered a Browns one, right? But I'm like, well, nobody wants that. So I said, well, give me the Drake May one. So.
Oh, stop, please. A lot of Drake May fans will be in your sports book the next couple of months. Bomber, great stuff. We'll be on Kansas City. Reach out. Let us know if you get any huge bets between now and Sunday, and we'll talk as we get closer to Derby. Have a great Super Bowl, buddy. Good to talk to you.
You too, Mutt. Thanks for everything.